करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। This morning we talked about the value of values, how these values are very most valuable in fact, because primarily happiness is the most valuable in my life, and happiness happens to be myself, therefore I become the most valuable to me in my life. And right now the self is wrongly known. The wrongly known self is what denies me the happiness. When happiness is my nature, I should be happy all the time. There's something that denies me that happiness, which is my birthright actually. What denies that? Ignorance, which results into wrongly known self, and therefore self has to be, Atma has to be rightly known. It is not that Atma is unknown. Ignorance of the self does not mean that I do not know myself. I know myself and always know myself. Why is it so? Because Atma is consciousness, self-conscious, self-revealing. And therefore, always revealed to myself. Therefore, I am always aware that I am. So that I am, or that I am aware, is known to me, which means that I am aware of myself, there is knowledge of the self. Always. Other than deep sleep state and states like that, we are always aware of ourselves. Which is a problem, by the way. This wrong understanding can come only when there is awareness of something. The opening example, if there was darkness and I did not see the rope at all, there would have been no occasion of the wrong knowledge of snake. It was broad daylight, when I saw the rope as a rope, then also there was no problem of seeing it as a snake. In the twilight situation, when there is some light but not enough light, some difficulty is that something that creates an obstacle to mind knowing that object as a rope. So there is awareness of the rope. And there is ignorance which creates this wrong knowledge of the rope or wrong perception. So wrong perception is the problem. Not non-perception, wrong perception. Because when you are fast asleep, there is non-perception, I don't know of myself, there is no problem. It's not a solution, but there is no problem at that time. When I wake up, then I become aware of myself, but wrongly aware of myself. This morning, because that subject-object discrimination, separation is not there. The object, the body, mind, sense complex is taken to the self. Why? That's habitual. You know, will. Ignorance is not the result of our will. We are not invited ignorance. It is not that one day I decide that now I am the body. I am born with that tendency of taking the body to be myself. And this is how ignorance manifests itself in my life. And thus, not that I do not know myself, I know myself wrongly. This wrong knowledge, wrong perception is the problem. And that has to be corrected with this teaching. And so that is what denies me the happiness. If fire is hot, it is hot. It doesn't become hot. Things don't have to become themselves because so I am happiness is my name. I don't have to become happy. I should be happy all the time. But I am not because that happiness is denied to me by the wrong knowledge of the self. Therefore, self-knowledge becomes important because there is the self-ignorance in the form of self-wrong knowledge or self-wrong perception. That is how happiness is most important. Happiness is myself, I am most important. And so the knowledge, which is knowledge of the self by which I can own up that happiness, otherwise I don't own up. Happiness is my nature, but right now I do not own up that happiness because of ignorance. So self-knowledge enables me to own up that happiness. Then I can be happy. Therefore, self-knowledge is the means of happiness. And self-knowledge can take place when we have this refined mind, and that we can gain by following these values. That is how values also become important and most important to me. So this should be recognized. The other thing that before we proceed to discuss individual values, these values that are prescribed to us, in this case Lord Krishna prescribes, but otherwise also all scriptures prescribe these values. Well, parents also, teachers, the whole world prescribes. Satyam, whether you should speak truth. You should be honest. In childhood, not knowing the value of life, we used to throw stones as dogs, street dogs, and say, hey, you're hurting. Don't do that. Don't hurt the creature. So we are aware of the values, by the way. We know the values, mostly. Maybe some values may need explanation, but many of them we are aware of. What is the basis of that value? Not only Vedas teach these values, all scriptures of all religions teach the same values, more or less. They all teach compassion, love, kindness, non-violence, in one form or the other. So these are universal teaching. What is the basis of these values? Are these values universal values or individual or subjective values? Sometimes people question. Swami, truth is not a universal value. What may be truth to you may not be truth to me, and therefore how can you say that it is universal value? Even non-violence also. What is non-violence in one condition? Maybe violence in another condition. When a surgeon takes a knife and pushes in my stomach, it's not violence. In fact, it's a non-violent act because he's doing that to save this body. But when a thief or someone like that pierces knife in my stomach, it is violence. Meaning that they say that, how can you say that non-violence is universal value? Because what is non-violence in one situation may be called violence in another situation. Therefore, these are not universal values, these are subjective values, meaning that they are individual values. If that is so, then I have the freedom to practice as I understand the value. But no, these are universal values. Non-violence is, as it applies to you, applies to me, and applies to all living creatures. Right now we are only talking about human beings. But non-violence is a universal value. Because everyone loves non-violence. Swami, if everyone loves non-violence, then we find a lot of violence, people deliberately violating and hurting other people. How can it be that we will come to that? Meaning that a value is not determined from my behavior. It is determined from what my expectations are. How I expect to be treated by others. That each one of us expects to be treated by others in a non-violent way. Meaning that I do not want to be hurt physically. I do not want to be hurt emotionally. Is it not so? And this applies to every living being. Nobody wants to be hurt physically, nobody wants to be hurt emotionally also, so nobody wants to be hurt. Even what we call a violent person also does not want to be hurt by others. Therefore, he makes sure he has his own weapons and think that he can do that, but he doesn't want to be hurt. Therefore, what is my value should be determined not by my behavior, but what is my expectation from others. In that, we are all in agreement. There is no one who wants to be hurt, physically or emotionally. Meaning that we are all in agreement with reference to what we expect from others. We are all in agreement, isn't it so? There cannot be anybody who wants to be hurt. So Swami, you tell the audience, is there someone here who likes to be hurt? He knows the answer. He wants to prove a point. See, nobody wants to be hurt. In every audience you will do that. But when Swami was surprised, when he did this question to the audience, is there someone who wants to be hurt? With very confidence he was saying that everyone said, no, somebody got up. Yes, Swamiji. No, this was it. No, if there is one exception, then it doesn't become a rule. You know, a rule, not grammar rule. They are all, in grammar, every rule is an exception. But in life, or in logic matter, a rule must be what? A universal rule. Yatra yatra dhuma, tatra tatra bandhi. Meaning that wherever there is smoke, there must be fire. It must be a universal law. Otherwise, you cannot say that I see the smoke, there must be fire. I cannot say that it is certainly, an exception to the rule. So rule should not accept. So this person, yes, if he is an exception, that he likes to be heard, then the rule that nobody wants to be heard is broken. Then it's no more the rule. Then Swami, you can't give his lectures. So Swami didn't know what to do. It's just very embarrassing. Fortunately, the audience came to Swami's rescue. Somebody got to say, Swamiji. Some problem here. Don't take him seriously. Thank God. So no, there cannot be any human being or any creature which wants to be hurt. Meaning that we are all in agreement. That's the universal rule. Universally, each one of us agrees that we do not want to be hurt. That establishes that not being hurt or non-hurtfulness or non-violence is a universal value. I do not want anybody to tell me lies. Are you telling truth? At the gunpoint they will say, he may do anything, but he expects other fellow to speak truth. Is it not so? He doesn't want, even the thief who cheats everyone doesn't want to be cheated. After stealing things, from somebody's home, these two fellows go into some lonely place and they split the thing and make sure that the other fellow doesn't cheat. Those who are cheating also do not want to be cheated. Those who are lying also do not want to be lied to. Those who are hurting also do not want to be hurt. Meaning that what I value is determined not by what I do, what I value is determined by what my expectation is. In that sense, these are universal values. Why is it so? Why are they universal values? What is applied to everybody? What is universal? Because there is a universal law. The whole universe is governed by these values. There is truthfulness everywhere in the creation, except human being. Right now, human being is an exception. There is a reason for that. But other than human being, the whole universe is honest. Is it not so? There is no cheating. Although in the story, Aesop stories or Panchatantra stories, we are told that there was a donkey who wore the skin of a tiger and went to the field, sugarcane field, and farmer ran away and then this for a nice time. Story. This fellow then ate a lot because to his heart content he ate the sugarcane. Because nobody will come near him. When a lot of sugarcane is eaten, then something happens here. Too much sugar here, you get intoxicated. There was a fox along with this fellow. So he also enjoyed. Now the fox says to this donkey, now we have enough, let us go. And he says, you don't sing. This fellow likes to sing. When the donkey becomes happy, he starts singing. So he's so happy with all the sugar cane that so this fellow, don't sing. No, I will sing. And he started singing. Then that farmer knew who this fellow is. And then he had a nice... but this is the story. I don't think that real life you'll find a donkey who parades himself as a tiger. I don't think so. These are all stories for human beings. Donkey has no lesson to learn from. We have to learn lesson. There's no cheating anywhere, isn't it? There's no dishonesty in nature. Nobody presents themselves as different from what they are. Is it not so? There's no violence also in nature, really. No. Violence for the sake of violence is not there in nature. The human being violates for the sake of violence, we will talk about that. But when one life form depends on another life form, in Sanskrit it is jivo jivasya jivanam. Jiva, a living being. Jivanam, his life is jiva. So one life form depends upon other life form. This is how the universe has been created. Therefore we find that creatures are living on other creatures because this is how the instinct has been instilled in them. But at the same time we find that even that violence also is only necessary for sustenance, nothing more than that. No creature eats for the sake of eating. A tiger doesn't come around like a lion, today I'm going to kill whoever comes at my side. No. Somebody was describing to me their trip to some place in Africa. Well, you can see these things, how animals are preying upon other animals. Like huge elephant, there were 2 tigers, 2 lions. They jumped, had a feast, were content, and walked away. Now there are other animals also, but these lions had no care at all. They are filled and therefore they didn't bother about hurting anybody else, and the rest, then other animals came. There is a whole sequence. After lions go, the next fellows come. When they have their feast, they go. Third fellows come. Everybody knows we should not come in the way of other fellows. They don't want to be eaten by others. But this is how nature is. There is no violence for the sake of violence. It is only to appease the hunger, only for sustenance. Then only the order of the nature can be sustained. Therefore, the violence that we find of one life form depending on other life form is not for the sake of violence, it is for the sake of sustenance. In fact, that is what keeps the whole universe going. If there was not there, then this earth will have no place to accommodate creatures, isn't it? Meaning that there is non-violence in the universe, truthfulness in the universe, honesty in the universe. The values that we are taught are already there in the universe. The whole universe is living those values. Meaning that the whole universe follows a certain set of values or order, which Swami used to call it. You call it moral order. It's called dharma. Dharma means the moral order. So there is an order in the universe, where Swami was very fond of always talking so much about that. The order of karma, order of dharma, etc., etc. So there is an order. And the whole universe follows that order. And that is why there is harmony in the universe. We talk about Star Wars, but then stars don't fight with each other. We like to imagine things like that, but for our own entertainment. The sun doesn't start fighting with moon, and moon doesn't start fighting with stars. They are in their own orbits. There is a universal order. That is why there is harmony in the whole universe, except human being. And whatever disharmony we see in the universe is all brought about by human being. We are capable of disturbing or violating the order. No other creature is given the freedom to violate the order. The human being can violate because human being has a free will. So this is where this question of values comes. This lecture on values is not to be given to buffaloes. Have you found anybody like that, giving them how to conduct themselves? Buffaloes, cows, dogs, they know how to conduct themselves. They follow the values automatically. We need to be educated. Why? Because we have the free will. What is free will? Free will is the freedom to violate the order. It's called free will. We have the freedom to violate the order. Otherwise, the whole universe is like an orchestra. Where all the members of the orchestra are playing the same tune, the same rhythm, same. The universe is an orchestra, beautiful thing. The only noise is created by human beings. If somebody in an orchestra starts blowing his coins as he likes, there will be noise, no more music. Is it not so? So human being is like that. Whole universe is playing its orchestra. We keep on blowing conch and drum and whatever we like and then disturb the whole thing. What is music is turned into noise. Who does it? We do it. Because we have the freedom to do. I have freedom to play my instrument as I want. And therefore, both have the freedom to play in the same rhythm and the tune that other people are playing, or I have the freedom to play in my own way. That's how I assert my freedom. See, this is how we assert the freedom. What is our definition of freedom? My definition of freedom is I have the freedom to disturb the freedom. My definition of freedom is freedom to do what I want. Meaning that I take it upon, I have the freedom to disturb the order. That's how a human being exercises freedom. By doing what I want. This is what I'm freedom, means I can do what I want. That's how they do. So therefore the need for prescribing the values. It's a Vidi, really. That's how Shankaracharya says. Vidi means something you have to do. If you don't do that, then you damage yourself. If you do this, you help yourself. You don't do it, you hurt yourself. That's called Vidi. Vidi means an enjoined action. Something that has to be done. Because for our own well-being. By following which, we help ourselves. By violating which, we hurt ourselves. So therefore, these values are based on universal order. And therefore, the values are universal. There is an order which is universal, and these values are all based on that universal order, and therefore they are universal values. Swamiji, they are universal values, so what does it matter to me? How does it help me if I follow the order values? And how does it hurt me if I violate the values? Why? It's an order in the universe. Let it be there. Let the whole universe function as it wants. I can function the way I want. But this is where we come to Vedanta. What does Vedanta teach us? In the morning, what Vakya we say? Tattvamasi. That order is you. Meaning that the universal order is nothing but our own self. Therefore, when we violate that order, we are violating ourselves. This is where the problem is. Otherwise, who cares? If it doesn't hurt me, I don't care. Any number of people can be hurt, but no. The values are universal, based on a universal law or order, which happens to be, that's what Vedanta teaches, Tattvamasi. The order of Ishvara. But that order of Ishvara is also my own self. In the same chapter, Lord Krishna says, Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarvakshit. Second verse. Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. The 13th chapter that we are studying. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, may you know that I am the self in all the beings. That's the Mahavakya. In the Gita, this shows clearly the identity between Lord and the individual self. So that is where the problem comes now. That we are very much involved in that because when we violate that order, we are violating ourselves. That means we are hurting ourselves. We are damaging ourselves. We should know that. Ye ke atmahano janaha. The Upanishad uses an expression atmahanaha. Ishavasya Upanishad, in that this word, this expression comes. Those who hurt themselves. Viditatmananda also talks about that. Asagrahena mudaha. So by wrong values, giving importance to wrong things, or if it doesn't have importance, it results into hurting myself. Sahyatmaha samvinihanti asadgrahat. See, Atmaha, he is the damager of himself. He hurts himself. Why? Asadgrahat, by holding on to wrong things. Meaning that holding on to something, thinking that it gives me happiness when it doesn't have happiness. So what is wrong? What is nice and wrong? What is false? What is mithya is taken to be satyam, and holding on to that, we wind up hurting ourselves. So this is a process that is going on in our life. If this is not brought to our attention, and we are not educated with reference to this, then our life can very well become a process of self-hurting. So, there are problems, Swami, there is a lot of stress in our life. In the corporate world, professional life, very stressful. Every life is stressful. Family life is also stressful. When two persons are involved, there is enough. If one person is enough for stress, even two is not needed. I can create enough stress for myself even when I am with myself. So stress is a problem, isn't it? That's why people make a lot of money, Swamiji, on this stress. A lot of workshops are there, a lot of packages are there, lots of things are there on stress management. So do yoga and do this, and all kinds of techniques are given. Some breathing exercises and counts, all sorts of things. I have not gone to the workshop, but this kind of techniques are there, which is okay. Give you some relief, some symptomatic treatment. But nobody knows the real cause of stress. Except Vedanta. What's the real cause of stress? Violating myself is the real cause of stress. When I violate myself, that is the ground for conflict within myself, isn't it? So what is stress? Stress is I am fighting with myself. That is stress. One part of me is fighting with the other part of me. This is called conflict within myself. I am condemning myself, rejecting myself, disliking myself, disapproving myself. All the cause of stress. Why is it so? Why do I disapprove of myself? Why do I dislike myself? Why don't I like myself? Because I am violating. I don't like to see myself. When I tell a lie, I may get away with things. We'll talk about that. We'll come to values and conflicts. The topic of values and conflicts. Values are responsible for conflicts. All conflicts in our life arise because of values. Because there is an order. Therefore, disorder creates a conflict. Because there is an order, therefore, violating that order creates conflict. Now, that order happens to be my own nature, therefore, violating the order amounts to violating myself. That's how one part of me hurts the other part of me. That's how this conflict is created. Conflict has to arise whenever there is a violation of value. When I deliberately tell a lie, there will arise a conflict. When I deliberately hurt somebody, conflict has to arise. When I deliberately violate a value, I know I have done something wrong. Why? Because I know that what I expect, I am not able to live up to what I expect from others. See, this problem with the value is, We have this consciousness of what we expect from others. I want to tell the truth, I want to be honest to me, I want to be kind to me. The second part, you know what? I know that you also have a similar expectation from me. See, what causes guilt is second part. That I know, I'm aware that you also have the same expectation of me that I have of you. That I do not want you to hurt me, and I know that you also do not want me to hurt you. That I do not want you to lie to me, and I know that you also do not want me to lie to you. Now, this is a very big thing. Only human being has this, by the way. This two-way consciousness. What is one-way consciousness? What I expect from you, from others. What is two-way consciousness? I am conscious that others also have that expectation from me. And therefore, when I deliberately do something wrong, when I tell a lie, for some reason, I know that I have done something wrong, I know that other person wants me to tell the truth, and I have cheated or I have deliberately hurt that person, and I know that I have done something wrong. So this guilt feeling that arises in us, that we are aware, become aware when we do something wrong, deliberately. Why does guilt arise? Because of the two-way consciousness. I know that that person also has an expectation from me that I should not hurt, I should not cheat, I should not be cruel, I should not lie to them. But Swami, everybody doesn't have this, by the way. The human being has guilt. No other creature has guilt, Swamiji. A cat doesn't have guilt feeling. If we are walking on the street and if one creature gets crushed under that, you feel so bad, Meaning that if I hurt, sometimes it's habitually, then I realize what I've done, this must get. I know that I've done something wrong. We do this with mosquito. Right away we do that. Right away. Then we realize, this is a reflex action. And I killed the mosquito. No good. Meaning that whenever we hurt somebody or we cheat somebody, then arises a sense of guilt because I know it is wrong, because I know that I was expected to do otherwise. But a cat, when it makes breakfast to a mouse, does it have guilt feeling? No, why? What experience? Cat also doesn't want to be hurt. That is the same thing. Cat doesn't want to be hurt by it. That's why it runs away. So no creature wants to be hurt. So that consciousness that what I expect from others is common to all living beings. Cat is no exception. But the other part of the consciousness that others also expect a similar thing from me, this cat doesn't know. Cat doesn't want to be killed, but does not know that the mouse does not want to be killed. Really? Therefore, when a cat makes breakfast of a mouse, he has no sense of guilt because it does not think that it has done anything wrong. If cat felt guilty and stopped eating mice, it would starve and this universe cannot function. That is why the Creator Ishvara has deliberately not placed the second level of consciousness in all the creatures. Therefore, one life form depends upon other life form without any sense of guilt. That's how it goes on. Otherwise you cannot live. But Swami, it would have been so nice, it is not so, if we also had that no guilt. Because guilt is big stress. Guilt is a huge problem, and so stress. Guilt and hurt. I do something to you and I feel guilty. You do something and I feel hurt. Same, it's other coin, hurt and guilt. These fellows have no hurt and they have no guilt. A cat has no hurt. Drive away, goes away. Doesn't feel insulted. It comes back to you again. You see, when it comes back, I would not go to somebody. When they do that to me, I won't go to his house again. Cat comes back. Dog also comes back, doesn't leave. Why? Because there is no hurt. Cat has no guilt and cat has no hurt. That's why they are liberated. They are called muktaha, vimuktaha. Really, this is how a liberated person is. Who is a liberated person? One who is free from hurt and guilt. In that sense, animals are the same category. So, Pashvadibhischa Avisheshat. The animals also are the same category as an enlightened being, in as much as both are free from hurt and guilt. One is not capable of feeling, other has grown out of that. That's the only difference. Big difference, of course. So why are we given this hurt and guilt? Why do we have to follow this law? Their fellows are happy. Is it good to have hurt and guilt? Has the Creator, Ishvara, who created us, so-called most evolved creatures, isn't it? And most miserable creature also. Human being is the most miserable creature in the universe, by the way. Because only human being is capable of feeling hurt and guilt. And they are the reasons for misery. And therefore, we are most miserable creatures. Generally, from every interaction, something happens. No interaction goes without some effect. We may not express it. Some little thing happens. Little bit. You smiled at me all that, but not enough. You smile at me, you laughed at me, he's laughing at me. So, you can never please me. If you don't smile, then he's not smiling. Smile is laughing at me and making fun of something or other goes. Because of my problem with myself, I keep on imputing things, and that's I keep on suffering. So human being is a champion in creating suffering for himself. All suffering has been created by ourselves. That is why we can become free from it. If it was created by others, how can you become free? The Vedanta teaches that moksha means freedom from all suffering. How can I become free from suffering? If suffering came from elsewhere, how can I become free? I can't control them. I can become free from suffering because I am the creator of suffering for myself, and therefore I have to stop doing it. That's all. If happiness came from somewhere else, moksha, all happen. How can I be if it came from elsewhere? How can I guarantee that? Because I am the source of happiness for myself, therefore I can be happy. So what is called sadhana, or what is living intelligently, is stop creating unhappiness for ourselves and start creating happiness for ourselves. We can do both. Other creature can't do that. We can do that. So tell me, this hurt and guilt, which are the source of all misery, has Ishvara helped us or hurt us by giving this hurt and guilt? Has Ishvara done a favor to us, or has he done the opposite? It would be nice if you are like cat and dog, no hurt and no guilt. Good, is it not? But why does a cat not have hurt? Because it does not have free will. It doesn't have freedom of choice. Choice is all made for the cat. We have free will, so we can make a choice for ourselves. Of course, when there is freedom, we can abuse that freedom, so we can make a wrong choice and create unhappiness for ourselves. So all unhappiness for ourselves is created by us by making wrong choices, and therefore we can create happiness for ourselves by simply making the right choices. So what, Swami, how do I know what is the right choice? In a given situation, how do I know what is the right choice? The value. So value represents what? The right choice. It's a guidance given to us as to how to make choices. Because free will is given to us, therefore we are bound to make a choice. We can't escape. We cannot escape making a choice. We have to make choice. And when we make a choice, we are also stuck with the responsibility of making the choice. That's another problem we have, responsibility. Nobody else has responsibility. Karmanyavadikaraste, thank you. Arjuna, it's a responsibility to perform a duty. He wanted to drop out. Cannot drop out. All these problems only we have, human beings have. So why does Ishvara do all these things to us? Why does he give us freedom of choice? Why does he give us guilt? Why does he give us hurt? Why does he do all this? Why does he give us freedom to create misery for our own self? Why? Because the human being can become liberated. Moksha is the privilege of only human being. And moksha means freedom is the result of right choices. But then, when choice is there, you can make a wrong choice also, and that's how create misery for yourself. By making a right choice, we can create happiness and freedom from ourselves, which no other creature can do. That's the privilege that we are enjoying. So moksha, liberation, is the privilege that only human being enjoys. And that's why he is the most evolved being. Other creatures will remain where they are. A dog is born a dog, will die a dog. A human being is born a human being. He can die as a dog, mentally. Or can die as a god also, G-O-D. D-O-G? What choices are there? That's why Vedanta, that's why this teaching. As to how to use the faculty of viveka, or faculty of choice. And so these values are there as a guideline to make the right choices in every situation. So that we can stop creating unhappiness for ourselves and we can create happiness for ourselves. So that is why the values, universal values. And they affect me because that universal order is my own self. Therefore, I am not obliging anybody. I always tell truth, so what? When I follow the value, I am not obliging anybody. I am only obliging myself. I never tell a lie. Well, okay. You are helping yourself. That's all. If you don't, why do you want to tell that? I don't know anyway. But whatever, that will come. Immediate first value itself is that, So values, all conflicts in our mind are created by values. The value means a universal order which happens to our nature. And therefore, whenever we violate ourselves, we create conflict in ourselves. So values give rise to all conflicts. Or I put it this way, conflicts are all because of values. And conflict means stress. Conflict means what? One part of myself fighting with the other part. Or disliking other part. Rejecting other part. One part of me rejecting other part. Self-dislike. Self-dissatisfaction. And sometimes it may grow into self-rejection. And further, self-condemnation. if we do not do something about this process of conflict can keep on building up to self-dislike, self-dissatisfaction, self-rejection, self-condemnation, meaning depression. So all mental problems, all of these are the result of build-up of this process of self-rejection. And why do I reject myself? When I do not like myself. When I do not like myself, that's another problem we have. Because we are conscious beings. So why do I not like myself? Because I have expectation of myself. I have expectation of myself all the time. Again, those expectations are not only I want others to tell truths to me, I expect myself also to tell the truth. Understand this. Not only do I have expectation of others, of how they should treat me, but then same expectation I have of myself as to how I should treat others. Meaning that I expect myself to be honest and truthful and kind and compassionate. You know why do we say that? How do I say that? Because I'm happy with myself whenever I conduct myself in a kind or compassionate manner. When I'm kind to others, I'm happy with myself. You observe yourself. When are you happy? When you are kind to others, compassionate to others, helping others. That's why that big sutra, transform yourself from being a consumer to a contributor. Contributor means who reaches out to others. This is my expectation of myself. Meaning that I expect myself to be truthful and honest. All the values that we are taught is not only what I expect from others, I expect from myself also. It's a problem. And therefore, whenever I fail in my expectation of myself, then I dislike myself. I disapprove of myself. I am the fellow who always is very critical of myself. Who am I? Who is most critical of myself? I am. Although I may blame others for criticizing me. But basically, who is most critical of myself? Myself. Because one part of me is always watching. A constant running comment is going on about what I am doing, and constant judgment is going on as to what I did is right or wrong. This process of self-judgment is always there. I judge myself. What's the basis of judgment? The values become the basis of judgment. What I expect becomes the basis of judgment. As I said, not only I expect from others, I expect the same thing from myself. And when I fail that expectation, how do I judge myself? I fail myself. I'm not kind to myself, understand? I'm very strict with myself. As I'm strict with others, I'm more strict with myself. Not good. Meaning that I disapprove of myself when I tell a lie, when I hurt, when I cheat. Whenever I violate a value within myself, one part of myself disapproves of the other part. That's what creates conflict. So conflict is created because I have expectation of myself. It's a very strict expectation. We think that the father was very strict and mother was strict and this was strict and teacher. But I am the strictest. I am more strict towards myself than my teacher or father or anybody else. And I am very quick at judgment. Right away. No good. I reject right away. I told a lie, immediately I reject myself. Disapprove of myself. And therefore we have a basic problem, always seeking approval. Everybody seeks approval. In the words of Swami, everybody has in their life a few significant people, Like father may be a significant person, Mother may be significant, teacher may be some. There are always 5, 6 some significant people, maybe an uncle, somebody or the other, whose approval is very important to me. So I always try to please them. My father always tried to please. He expressed some score from me, so I always work hard. So when I come home with the result, oh, you got 5th rank. I was proud. All right. He would expect 4th rank from. Thank you. Then I get 4th, then he wants 3rd. When I get 3rd, he wants 2nd, 2. When I get 2, he wants 1. When I get 1, then he got, then he'll keep on. So anyway, but before my father wants, I want. So this self-judgment is constantly going on. A self-commentary is going on. A self-evaluation is going on. A self-judgment is going on. And that is where I have to pay attention. We think that the world is watching us and the world is judging us. That may be so. But I am watching myself. I am judging myself. And what's the basis of judgment? This universal order, which is my own self. That's the basis of my judgment of myself. Because that's what I expect of myself. Why do I want myself to be truthful? Why do I expect myself to be kind? Why? Because that's when I'm at home with myself. I'm in harmony with myself. I'm comfortable. That's when I'm happy. And when I find myself telling a lie, I violated my own nature. That's when there is conflict. That's when there is disapproval. That's when there is unhappiness. That's all. There is no other cause of happiness or unhappiness. Self-acceptance means happiness. Self-non-acceptance, unhappiness. Doesn't come from rasgulla or payasam. Doesn't come from anywhere. Only comes from this. What is the means of happiness? Self-acceptance. What is the source of unhappiness? Self-non-acceptance. And understand that I am a self-conscious being with a judgmental being, always makes judgments. That's, buddhi, you may have heard this. Buddhi means in Tattva Bodha. You heard it, you listen to the Tattva Bodha. So, mana, buddhi, chittam, ahankara. So buddhi means intellect. Adhyavasayatmaka antar means that mode of the mind which is a judging mode, which judges, determines, decides, judges. It is the nature of our intellect to judge. Whatever it comes in contact with. So when I look at you, first thing I judge you. And then I decide how to plan my strategy, how to interact with you. In every situation, I may have a strategy, how to interact with you. How does that strategy arise? I first judge a friend, not a friend. Beware, take care. This first happens in my mind. And then that determines my contact. Towards somebody I am smiling, somebody I am something else. Why? Because I judge different people differently. And that's how I respond differently. But understand that not only I am judging others, first I am judging myself. Based on the way I conduct myself. I cannot escape that. It's a very cruel thing. Not cruel or whatever. That's what it is. All of this is given to us, so that we become mukta, liberated. The same thing can bind us. That's a two-way sword, two-edged sword. In the universe, everything is like that. That which can help us can also hurt us. So when intellect is meant as an instrument, as a means of knowledge, liberation, then also by judging, it can hurt. So in order to remain acceptable to myself, so when do I create unhappiness? By conducting myself in a manner by which I disapprove of myself. And when do I create happiness for myself? By conducting myself in a manner when I approve of myself. Simple as this. Don't have to go anywhere for happiness or unhappiness. Simple. So simple rule. Just do what you expect out of yourself. How do I know? Values. That's how the values become guidelines to avoid conflict, avoid self-dissatisfaction. That is the problem of human beings. Sadness is the human problem. In Bhagavad Gita, that's what Shankaracharya explains to us. Shoka and Moha. Shoka means grief, Moha means delusion. The Bhagavad Gita addresses this fundamental human problem of grief. Ma Shucha, do not grieve. Ashucham, Anvashuchastu. Begin with grief. Because human being creates grief. Why? Conducting himself in an unbecoming manner. Okay? So these are the fundamentals about stresses and grief. Not some exercise and punching and stuff like that. That, nothing can solve the problem of grief and stress. You must know the fundamentals and then the fundamental solution. It also will become a workshop on stress management, automatically. That's why you talk about value, how important they are, how intimate they are, how intimately they are integrated in our life. It's our own self. And more we understand all these mechanisms within ourselves, more appreciation we will have of how important these values are and how therefore we must be committed to practicing the values. That commitment should arise from understanding the value of values, how valuable they are. Because I always choose what is valuable. So we'll continue that, and now but this background I thought was necessary before we discuss the values in each other.